Welcome to Sanctum. You're listening to The 100 Podcast, the show about CW's sci-fi series, The 100. I'm Daniel Prime.
Hallowed be his name. And I'm Olga, the One Crew Warrior. Today, we are reviewing / looking back on seasons 5 and 6 of The 100.
The 100. Have you ever heard of it?
No, I'm completely new to this show. I decided, you know what makes a lot of sense? Only watching seasons 5 and 6, not in that order, on Netflix.
Great. So, for those following along at home or who are uninitiated, we did a rewatch leading up to season 7 that didn't go quite as planned. We were hoping to watch everything before season 7 started. We clearly were behind in what we'd planned, so we had finished the first 4 seasons. We've already re-reviewed the first 4 seasons. And then we were like, okay, there's only like a week left until season 7. So we jumped ahead, rewatched all of season 6 so that we remembered everything that had just happened for season 7. Now we've gone backwards. We watched season 5.
During the season 7 2-week break.
Yeah. So now we can talk about season 5 and season 6. But season 5 is way more in our memory banks at the moment than season 6. But we'll talk about both of them.
Yeah. Considering we liked season 6 on first watch more, I feel like maybe it's stuck in our brains.
It's also, I guess, more recent in general. So we're going to talk about season 5, we're going to talk about season 6, but the brunt of this podcast is going to be updating our 2 lists that we've been doing during these rewatches. One is our top 10 list of episodes. So we're going to nominate some episodes from season 5 and season 6. And the same thing with the villains list, which we've been doing. So we have lists up through season 4. Now we're going to update them through season 6, and we'll see what happens with that by the end of season 7.
So the point is that after the show's over, we will have, in our opinion, the definitive list of the top 10 100 villains and top 10 100 episodes.
Yeah. All right. So what do you think of season 5 on rewatch?
I liked it a lot more on rewatch than on first watch.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just like distance makes the heart grow fonder in a way, or if it's just that the stakes felt so high during the season 5 watch that I couldn't, like, the meta narrative, what does this all mean? Where is this going? Blah.
Yeah.
Like, it meant more than now we're 2 seasons out from it.
I think there's a few things that help on rewatch. One is I do think a little bit of our memory of season 5 has been jaded because the fandom overall, like, despises this season, it feels like. I mean, maybe not everybody, but, like, a lot of people act like this is, like, clearly the worst season by far. And I'm like, well, it may be the worst, maybe, but, like, not by, like, a mile.
Yeah.
I think the thing that really works in this season is Octavia. And I think Octavia works. I think, for the most part, Abby's storyline works. And I think that it introduces Dioza. So to me, Octavia, Indra, Abby, and Dioza make this season worthwhile.
Monty.
And Monty. Yes, good point.
/ Harper.
Yeah, those people make the season great. I understand why people have issues with Clark, have issues with Bellamy, have issues with Raven, have issues with Echo. Like, you know.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I do think that when we finished season 5 and we did our where does this season rank, it was not super favorable.
No, and I still don't know that it would be super favorable, but it's just, I think that it's still has a lot of good things going for it. You know, we're still going to, we nominated 3 episodes for our top 10 list.
And we'll discuss whether or not they make it onto the list, but they're nominated nonetheless. Yeah, I think it is a solid season of television.
Yeah.
I guess this might be controversial for a podcaster who's super invested in television and therefore talks about it. But for someone who is just looking for a cool, interesting sci-fi show with a lot of world building, I kind of feel like season 5 might be very favored by such a viewer.
Yeah, I guess someone who just like wants to just have some fun and watch a thing.
Yeah,
kind of what you're saying? Yeah.
Enjoy some really kooky characters and moral dilemmas and some action. I think this season offers all of that.
It definitely does. And I think that the whole one crew thing works quite well. I don't love necessarily how Blood Raina ends, but other than that, I mean, right up till near the end, I think it works really well. I think the things that really bothered me on the first time, one of the biggest ones was Clark, right?
Yeah.
And it was actually basically everything sort of tied around the time jump other than one crew.
Yeah.
So we had issues with Space Crew and the fact that we didn't see any, flashbacks or whatever. We had issues with Clark and Maddie's relationship being Clark's like whole character now.
Yeah.
And now knowing like that doesn't continue, that makes me able to sort of experience her journey in this season more as like an interesting aside in some ways, and like a journey she went through. And in a lot of ways, it is, even though I don't, I don't like her as much this season, it is one of the most clear arcs that she has in a season. Like I don't really know what her arc in season 6 is necessarily. Like we can talk about that in a bit.
We will. Or let alone season 7.
Yeah. And so I think personally some of the biggest problems they had in this season, season 5, was that they would do things. They would have characters do things being like, oh, yes, this is a show where people do intense, crazy things. Or I'm just like, but this one was too much. Where I'm just like knowing the line, and obviously the line's going to be different for everyone and for every character in some ways, right? But like things like killing Kara felt completely unnecessary.
That was a really big leap for the characters of Clark and Bellamy that I feel like have, in season 6 and 7, they should be like, I can't believe we killed that woman like that. Like that should have been a line.
And I understand like in theory, it's like, well, they've killed tons of people. I'm like, usually the people are like directly trying to kill them, or like they have no choice or whatever, right? Like they chose her to just murder.
Yeah. They just committed... They plotted a murder. Yeah. Like, that's the thing. They didn't just, like, stab her. They were like, hey, how can we frame her for all of this stuff and, like, cause a problem based around her death that we will cause? And also blackmail Monty into helping us cause, like, guys.
I mean, I don't know if blackmail's the right word, but I know what you mean. Like, pressure.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, again, it's for the quote-unquote greater good or whatever, but, like... There are ways that they could have just like destroyed the eggs themselves and run away, or like taken responsibility for what they did rather than just murder someone and frame. Like it's they really I mean but there's there's Clark shocking Maddie, there's Clark betraying, like, so Clark running away from Bellamy and leaving him in Polis. Personally, on Rewatch, I have less of an issue with. He had just done some pretty crappy stuff himself.
She felt betrayed by him. The one thing that she was willing to do was let herself die and entrust Maddie in Bellamy's care. Yeah. And he did the opposite of care for Maddie.
And it's shown quite clearly that Clark is no longer like overthinking or over worrying about Blood Raina at that point. She literally is sending someone to assassinate Maddie. So at that point, Clark just saying like, we're driving out of here. Yeah. Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Her going and telling McCreary everything and helping McCreary and all that stuff, I feel a little bit more iffy about.
Yeah. It's like there's logic in there, sort of. Yeah. Like she had to give him something that he could use so he could sort of at least, if not trust her, then be okay with her being around. And she's like, I don't trust him. He doesn't trust me. But if I give him something valuable, we're safe enough. And I get that logic, even though as a viewer, I'm like, this isn't Clark. Yeah. Like, what? Who am I watching right now? Screw her.
And again, even if it makes some sense that the character got there in those 6 years, it's not the character I want to watch.
Right.
And I didn't see that transformation. It's such a major transformation. And it just, I think that what I really struggled with on the first watch is that, like, we didn't really see her develop her connection with Maddie that much. Maddie and her aren't even on screen together for like multiple episodes in the first half. Yeah. And now I'm supposed to think that, oh, my favorite character only cares about this other character who I struggled to care about until probably the end of this season.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's just, I mean, it's a similar thing with Bellamy, right? Where it's, we didn't see him and Echo reconnect. Our memories are filled with Echo killed Ilian, Echo tried to kill Octavia-ish, and she did the bunker and all that stuff. And like suddenly we're supposed to be invested in this relationship. And in some ways also like, I think in some ways the opposite. The one thing that they did, I think, really well with the time jump was Murphy and Amori.
Mm-hmm.
And then that just like goes out the window.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so
they're just, yeah, she's just like, no, I still love you. And look at you. You are the hero. Like Murphy's had the same arc, God bless him, for seasons, 5 through 7, especially the struggle.
I would say season 6, he had a different sort of.
Yeah. That's true. He
season 6 was about backsliding. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. But even that backsliding, it's like, I'm doing this for Amori, the woman that I love so dearly. It's like, you guys broke up for like, almost a year at one point, and then she changed her mind.
Well, we really don't even know how long they were broken up.
I think she was Raven's roommate for 6 months.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And also, I mean, something that I was noticing more on Rewatch, maybe because he isn't doing it as much in season 7, he's like an asshole in this season.
Yeah.
Like he's like just like needlessly mean. And I know that's like kind of the character, but like it was like intense in this season in a way that like mostly wasn't funny. Like, so.
Well, Maddie even freaking calls it out. Like, I thought you'd be funnier. Yeah. I mean, we've joked about how kids love Murphy.
Everybody loves Murphy.
When they go through a rebellious phase. And then they realize he's a real big dick and move on.
Maury loved that big dick.
She wanted it in the woods then and there.
I mean, so we can talk more about Blood Raina or about McCreary and stuff like that, or we can leave that for when we talk about the villains more. I don't know. Do you want to maybe put that aside until we talk about the villain listing?
Yeah.
All right. So what do you think about Kane this season?
I didn't have as much issue with him on this watch as I did on the first one.
Yeah.
That said, he's a complicated. His arc is weird in this season. It's like they're sort of shipping. I still feel like intense shipper feels of him and Dioza.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of back off from it.
Yeah.
And then he kind of dies.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it leaves it in a weird spot because obviously the way he gets killed in some ways is like him being punished, right? Is that he did one thing too many, and Vincent brings out his hypocrisy and kills him. But then when he actually dies in season 6, it's much more like,
I'm the
martyr,
best person ever who ever.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of feel like he's a little. I'm not going to say he's a Jaha Redux, but in both of their cases, I'm like, what are you trying to say with these characters?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they knew at certain points, and then the characters just kept going and going, and that so actually, let's talk about Jaha.
Yeah.
Because. So he dies here, and I mean, we really like that episode where he dies.
Yeah.
But I just still feel like he kind of just really got off scot-free from the whole Allie situation.
Yeah.
And it leaves me in this weird spot where, like, yes, I understand that, like, at the end of season 4 when they have the whole "this is how we save our people" moment, and he doesn't like keep fighting or whatever. He gasses everybody. Like that is a big arc moment for him, but like I just don't think that. I still feel like he reverts back in a way where he's back to season 1. He's like, "This is how you lead. This the way I led," basically. Yeah. And the fact that they have him reading the Giving Tree, implying that he is the Giving Tree. And I'm just like, this is also the character who broke free will through violence. Like, it's...
Yeah, there's a reason season 3 Jaha is on our villains list.
Again, it's all complicated. The whole, like, Jaha as a villain in season 3, I'm like, it's hard to tell how much of that is, like, innately him versus him under the influence of Allie.
It was his idea to break people's free will. She was just like, people have to make the choice. And he was the one who came up with the ways, both violently.
But if he hadn't had his pain taken away, would he have done that?
No.
Would he be like if he remembered Wells, and I mean, because I feel like Wells's death was very pivotal to his growth, right? Like,
yes, it was.
So
it was. It's so Jaha without love, aka without without pain, aka without love, is a freaking monster.
Yeah.
Jaha still stands by his leadership decisions and his style. I mean, yes, he tried to martyr himself in season 1. Great, good. I'm glad he's still like, in a way, he is the giving tree. Yes, he was trying to give. He would have sacrificed himself, but he's still like telling Clark how to lead. That his way is the way. He's still telling Octavia, yes, I floated your mom. I did what I had to do. She was an enemy to us by like potentially causing more death. I killed that enemy. So you should do that too.
And the thing is, like, he is sort of correct in that episode. I mean, like, if without him, one could argue they wouldn't have survived, right?
Yeah.
Without his lesson to Octavia there. And that's why that episode is interesting in that way. But I struggle because, yeah, you can say he's the giving tree. He can think of himself as the giving tree.
Right.
But, like, he's, at the end of the day, he's basically Becca. Becca, and Cadigan are not that different from each other.
Yeah.
Like, they all have the savior complex to such an arrogant degree that they end up doing these things and then don't take a lot of responsibility for it.
Kane is a parallel to him in that he's like the more peaceful, equitable one, but like the show almost tells us, well, he would have gotten people killed with his peacefulness.
Well, I mean, the thing that's interesting, I guess a big difference is that Kane definitely wallows in, like, I feel like continually feels his mistakes throughout the whole series.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like Jaha has that in his first season, and that's it.
Yeah, and then he's like,
yeah, kind of after that. Yeah, whereas, where Kane, but that's the thing that's interesting about what happens with Vincent. Vincent's like, it would be great if a conscience was a free pass. And like, yeah, Kane definitely feels crappy about these things and like tries to preach morality and learn from my lessons or whatever, but he just keeps doing things over and over again that are questionable.
Yeah. It's a complicated show. The show, doesn't give us easy answers. That's why it's fun to discuss.
Yeah.
That said, it is kind of interesting to me that these two like male leaders. I mean, you definitely also brought up Becca, but
and I mean, Clark kind of fits what we're talking about too, to a certain degree. Not necessarily
in
always.
What way?
Well, I mean, there's the whole thing of you decide who lives and who dies. You have a god. I mean, we have the episode God Complex on our top 10 thing. Yeah. But the thing is, at the end of that, she learns from that and learns to put it on herself. And I don't think that she
undoes it a little bit in season 5.
I mean, here's the thing. I don't think that she has some arrogance, but she's not like overflowing with arrogance the way that these other characters are, right? She's like actually done so many good things and has had such an impact that like I don't blame her for getting a little carried away sometimes. And it's not, obviously, it depends. Each different decision, different moments, she's gone too far at certain times and things like that. But I think you look up someone like Becca versus Clark, right, where Becca destroyed the world. And so then she barrels forward and is like, I'm going to fix it because I can fix it. And I'm not going to listen to anybody that's saying that I'm going on the path again. I'm single-minded and I'm just going to fix it. Like, I don't think that's like Clark, if she destroyed the world, would just be destroyed. It's
It's interesting. I think we'll talk about it in season 6, but in a way, I think it's a shame that Kane didn't die in this season too.
I agree. Yeah. Well, let's talk about season 6.
Yeah.
Obviously, we watched it a little bit longer ago, but I really struggle with this season on Rewatch because I really like a lot about it, but as a whole, it kind of falls flat to me in the long run.
Yeah. I feel the same, honestly. If I walked away from season 6 feeling relatively positive about it, on Rewatch, I was like, was this as good as I originally thought? And it's like the characters themselves, like the new characters are really good.
Yep.
Love me some Dioza, as always. But
in season 6?
In season 6 too.
Yep.
But like, or Team Octavia plus Diva,
Yeah,
so that
yeah,
we
yeah.
continue into season 7,
Mhm.
girl power. But yeah, I agree. I struggle with it. I struggle with Clark's character arc
Mhm.
in it. I don't know. I still think it suffers from the time jump of
Yeah.
season 5.
Yeah.
But then we're just kind of thrust into this new environment and we just have to
Well,
accept it.
I think the thing that's interesting about rewatching is I think what really was enjoyable the first time around was the mythology stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that the world of Sanctum I find fascinating. The idea of the mind drives, the idea of the primes, all that stuff to me is some of their best work as far as sci-fi goes.
Yeah.
It's definitely my favorite sci-fi thing since The City of Light, which, you know, at that point had been a while ago. I think that the new cast members they added all really engaging and enjoyable. Definitely, there's no McCreary this time around. I mean, I don't like Riker and things like that much, but like they're much more side people.
Yeah.
Like there's definitely a lot of interesting things. I just don't think that they really land the plane. And I think that because I feel like it feels a little awkward that like the main villain is kind of Josephine, but then she's kind of gone, you know, earlier, and then it's like we're sort of fighting Shadeheada, but then not really, and he's terrible in this season.
So bad.
And Russell's over here, and then in the final episode, our people on the ground are fighting these faithful that you've never seen before,
Yeah.
and like it's just messy in the back half.
It is messy. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't really stick the landing in the same way. While the performances overall continue to be really good, it just, yeah, I didn't, it was a frustrating season. Yeah, that's what it was. This was the promise of the beginning of book 2, and Raven is a butt throughout this season. And we're still supposed to care about Echo and Bellamy, but they're not like communicating.
Barely on screen together, right? Yeah.
And Eliza's doing a great job playing 2 people who are very different, but she's still kind of on her lonesome.
Yeah. I mean, my biggest issue with honestly, I feel like if they landed the plane for me with Clark, that it would have made the season even better. Like I think it's part of what holds the season back for me is
so let's talk about what,
because so the season starts, right? Everybody hates her.
Yeah.
Everybody, you know, throws everything she ever did in her face, somewhat deservedly so. I mean, season 5 she's an absolute nightmare, but like but obviously she's done a lot of great things and even also, you know, recovered by the end of season 5 too.
Right.
But basically one sets up in this season, this is the season of her dealing with her guilt. This is the season of her dealing with her own self-hatred that's manifested through these other people. Because the whole thing is everybody's throwing the shit at her and she can't fight back. She can't say, you know, because she just believes them.
Yeah.
And then we also set up very early on, it's like, well, would you do Mount Weather again? And things like that, right? And then we get to Nevermind. And I don't feel, and that like much more directly again is like, all of your past is coming back to haunt you. And, you know, you hate yourself. Maya hates you because you hate yourself. Like all of your projections hate you.
Yeah.
And in that episode shows how she crumbles in on herself and wants to just give up. And then she's convinced to keep going because it's the right thing to do. You have to go out. You have to fight Josephine. You can't just allow the primes to keep going. It's not the right thing. You need to keep fighting. Giving up isn't doing better, is what Monty says.
Yes.
And then that, I think, is followed through with, by the end of her defeating Josephine, it's like Bellamy keep fighting for Bellamy because he cares about you and because of all that stuff. I mean, it's more complicated than that, but you get what I'm saying. She doesn't actually deal with the root problem.
No.
She doesn't deal with her self-hatred. She doesn't begin to see love in herself. She just sees a reason to keep fighting.
She again convinces herself that, yes, I am the person who can help solve this problem.
Yeah.
And she's right. But that is not the same thing as I shouldn't hate myself for this. Or I should try to do better by being present instead of by removing myself from
Well,
this
it's like
world.
she needs to be able to forgive herself a little bit. And one could argue that's like her overall, like you can't solve that in season 6. It's like her ultimate arc or whatever.
Maybe.
But I mean, that's certainly not what they're setting up here in season 7. And in season 7, obviously, it isn't going the way they planned.
Right.
But even when what we saw of Clark, it sort of just sets up her philosophical worries and her grief and her fear of losing anyone. That's what season 7 is about for Clark. So
Yeah.
she could have finished season 6 finding new self-respect and new self-love and being able to move on from the past and deal with the present.
Except the problem is that one of her last lines and her last words basically to Bellamy is like, I tried to do better. I tried to like, doesn't that have to matter that we tried to do? And I'm like, that also doesn't quite.
Well, to me, that's much more of a.
It's the philosophy of the show overall.
It's the seasonal like theme, right? Is that we're gonna do better this time. We're trying to do better.
Yeah,
and
it's what Monty sets up.
It's
in
what Monty
season
sets
5
for them.
finale.
Sure, and that's part of she doesn't let herself die because she's trying to do better.
Right.
But yeah, that's not the same thing as accepting, hey, maybe I screwed up back then, maybe I didn't. I was in impossible situations and I did the best I could. You know, like it's.
And I shouldn't hate myself for that.
Because what we needed was a positive evolution of what she gets to in the beginning of season 5. Because where she gets to at the beginning of season 5, I think is fascinating, where she's just basically like, she's found a sort of tranquility by just being like, everybody sucks. We're all animals, right? Like, we're all just doing what we gotta do. And it's not there's no morality, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you need her to get to the point of where she's just like, you know, I can't beat myself up about this. There is a morality, but like, I was in impossible situations and I'll try to do better, but I can't just like let myself
stop trying.
Yeah, I can't just let all of my projections hate me. You know, like that's
self-loathing ain't the way to go.
Yeah, I don't know. That to me is a big thing that they miss. And I also I sort of struggle. I don't know that I like Josephine as much on Rewatch as I did the first time.
You might be right.
I really like Josephine's performance. I think she's really funny, and I think that they do a pretty good job with her as far as like complexity and stuff goes. But as far as making her competent or scary
she's not competent. She's been lucky up until now.
Which maybe is like part of the like, I feel like that's kind of partially on purpose that they make all the primes sort of just be like so like they've gotten so used to just being perfect and getting everything they want that they're not used to having to use their wits or be competent. But
they're
like,
intelligent. Like, they're all very book smart.
Yeah.
But they figured out a way how to manipulate people. That was using their book smarts more than their than being conniving, manipulative, and intelligent in the way that Clark and Team are.
Well, I just think, because I think that her parents both are more competent than she is, and she is this like sociopathic character, and to have that like literally like insane level of person and not feel like there's any danger coming from her at all. Maybe that's what they wanted you to write, but that's not what I would want from that character. Like, I think you could have made her feel more threatening, while still being fun. You know, like, she could have been their Joker, like to a certain degree. I'm not saying like quite that level, but like, she could have been, I'm funny, I'm charismatic, but like, I'm like a fucking psychopath. Like, and she is, but she's not. Like, I guess, you know.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's an interesting, I wouldn't call it like a dilemma for Josephine, but I don't know. I agree with you. I think less of the primes in general on Rewatch.
Yeah.
And in season 7, Shade Hedda even points that out of like pathetic
Simpering
Russell.
fools.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
He calls out their ineptitude in the previous season.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So this is going to be interesting because I feel like I'm being more negative about it than I am, especially when we get to the villain ranking. I'm more just, I think the more, I still love Josephine. I just think that on rewatch, I was able to get maybe a little bit more analytical and see past my just like loving of the lines and the delivery and all that stuff.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to get into our 2 top 10 lists, the villain list and the episode list. And it's obviously going to get a little complicated as you can't see what we're looking at. But if you want to look on our website, the100podcast.com, we're going to list out our final lists up on the website there. We're also going to have the lists on the video that we're putting this out with, so you can just look at it there. Want to read our list so far?
Okay, so the list as it stands is I will do a countdown from 10 to 1.
Ooh.
So at number 10 right now we have Ontari. Number 9 we have Echo.
Season 4.
Season 4 Echo, correct. Number 8 is Emerson. Number 7 is Season 1 Murphy. 6 is Allie. 5 is Luna. More specifically, Season 4 Luna.
Crazy Luna.
Yeah. Conclave Luna. 4 is Cage. 3 is Season 3 Jaha. 2 is Dante. And 1 is Pike. Our number 1 villain as it stands right now is Mr. Pike.
All right. So a few things we should say before we start adding people to this list. So our overall definition that we were going off of, can you read that?
Yeah, sure. Someone who consistently opposes our heroes to the point of threatening or doing them harm. They don't have to be evil to function in the story as a villain, but if you do something super evil, you're a villain.
Yeah, so this is the definition that we're working with. It got a lot more complicated in season 5.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a second. Before we do, is there anything on this list as it stands that you think should shift? Any of these characters should be shifted around at all?
Now that we've slept on it for a few months.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I still think that this list kind of makes sense. And I mean, it might change. I think the most drastic change to this list is going to be in season 7 or on our final ranking.
I think that Echo should go above Emerson.
She's more of a villain. I think
Emerson. We should. Also, I think it's important to mention we're not ranking them on morality level. It's not like this is the most evil of all of them. We're saying like who's the best. Like Pike is number 1 right now because he's so complex and so interesting and charismatic while still being a really intimidating, powerful villain. To me, Echo in season 4 is a lot more consistent. She's in it a lot more, for one thing.
Yeah.
I think that Tassia's performance I prefer. And I think that her whole thing of like accidentally killing Octavia is intriguing because she cares about that. And I think she kills Ilian, who's like an actual character.
Yeah.
To me,
she does consistently oppose them.
Yeah.
Including even the person that she supposedly supports.
She found
is
him
Rowan.
in a cage. Oh, I thought you were talking about Bellamy.
No, I meant Rowan.
Yeah.
Like even her arrogance of thinking she knows better than the person
king,
that she is supposed to be loyal to. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I don't mind because that way Emerson can be easily slid off the list. I'm assuming is why you're...
That's part of it, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so we're swapping Emerson and Echo.
Yeah.
And while you do that on our Google Doc, I'll start talking about Dioza. So the people we're nominating from season 5 are Dioza, McCreary, Blood Reyna, and Vincent. Dioza, we really are struggling with because she kind of consistently opposes our heroes.
She's at her worst in the beginning of the season before she's really formed any like attachments to them or seen them as people. She's coming into this with a lot of resentment for people in power. She feels like, again, like she returned to an Earth that she betrayed her, and then it turns out that Earth is gone.
Yeah.
So
here's the thing. Yeah, if you look at, so I think that she is not an evil character,
right?
But if you look at what she's doing throughout the season, she starts by torturing Clark. Again, I understand why, but she starts by torturing Clark. She keeps Raven and Echo and a bunch of our people imprisoned with shock collars for the majority of the season.
Mm-hmm.
She has Raven and Murphy tortured for information. She orders that a missile be shot down on all of one crew, including Bellamy and Clark and all of our people.
Specifically, she wants to bomb them when they are crossing the desert towards...
Well, no, I'm talking about she ordered right after they left, right from after bringing everybody out of the bunker.
Mm-hmm.
She orders them to missile them, but he says it doesn't work.
Right, yes.
But she still ordered that.
Yes. I was saying, again, when they were trying to cross, she was like, they're disobeying my orders, so let's just kill all of one crew again while they hide in the storm. So she tried it twice.
I mean, certainly, it's hard to... The thing that's difficult is, does she consistently... I mean, like, after that first, third of the season, she's definitely, working with Kane. She's open-minded to a truce. She even
envisions a peaceful settlement where people can grow and move past their past and their decisions. And
so, ultimately, I don't... I feel like it's inconsistent enough that most of the time she's opposing Octavia, who in this season I do not think is our hero.
She's on the villain list, so I'm going to say...
So right now I'm going to say no Dioza. You agree?
You don't have to be evil to function in the story as a villain, but if you do something super evil...
What do you think she did that was super evil?
The missile thing is pretty bad, but I can also kind of credit that to McCreary a bit.
Well, it's also in war. It's like, they're going to come attack us now. It's a
tactical move that she's like, to avoid war.
Yeah.
But it includes a bunch of civilians. They're just not
are there civilians? That's the question.
Is one crew.
One crew, there are no civilians,
an army,
including the children.
Yeah.
So I see where you're coming from.
I'm not saying I'm definitive here by any means. I'm just saying that line, the consistently opposes line, is a strike against her being a villain, but the super evil thing,
so the reason I have this consistently, just so if people didn't listen to our other ones, the reason I put in consistently is because then we have complications of things like Lexa in season 2 or Roan in season 4, where Lexa is, she surrounds all of Arcadia, or Camp Jaha, I think it was at the time, and is like, I'm gonna fucking kill all of you unless you hand over Finn. And then she betrays them at the end, and also she almost has Raven cut up and stuff like that. She definitely opposes them, but she also spends most of the season as their ally. Here it's a lot more murky, because if she had stayed in power, she would have made peace with one. I don't think that she fits the consistent thing. If you think she did something evil, I could buy that.
I don't.
Okay.
I feel comfortable leaving her off of the list.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, people write in with a more strong argument for why something does fit the super evil. Again, it's so hard because even though she's kind of in charge militaristically, the fact that she delegates the torture stuff to McCreary, the fact that she as someone who was in the military, which probably committed torturous acts, she knows the quote tactical value of that, which by the way is a falsehood. That's not true. People who are tortured are just telling you what you want to hear. So I'm just trying to say I don't support torture.
Loves torture.
What we do in the bedroom is nobody's business. Anyway.
Totally lost what you're talking about.
Yeah, me too, obviously. My point is that, to me, they're really, in my opinion, being the show itself is saying McCreary is the guy who enjoys the torture. He wants to do it. His people who follow him are the ones who are actively shot collaring everyone. And Diaz is just kind of
calculating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll let this happen while I get a lay of the land.
Well, let's talk about McCreary.
He's a dick.
Yeah. He's obviously a villain, right?
Yes.
He destroys the world.
If I can't have it, no one can. Well.
And he does obviously consistently oppose our heroes the entire time.
Yes.
He's not a good villain.
No.
He has almost no anything. Like he barely has a personality. He has no motivation other than greed.
Mm-hmm.
He has no real backstory of any kind. He's not, to me, particularly intelligent or intimidating. Like, because here's the thing: if you him versus Vincent, I think is a very interesting thing because Vincent, he's not really 3-dimensional either.
No,
like he doesn't have. He's just crazy, but he's scary. So like that scariness helps a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Like he's creepy. His lines are he's smart, which makes him kind of like, it adds to his creep factor, right? Like
yeah.
and
He's also calculating.
yeah. Whereas McCreary, I'm just like he just seems like a thug that somehow is the head of the thugs. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't seem like a serial killer. He seems like a
Maniac.
yeah, or
Psychopath.
yeah. I don't know. He doesn't have anything that really, like, I just want to punch him in the face. I'm just like, get out of here.
Yeah.
So does he beat anyone on our list? Is he better than Antari?
Yeah.
You think so?
I think it makes sense for him to be on the list.
And I don't think if he's only better than Antari, he's not going to stay on the list.
Well, I was actually going to say he might be better than Emerson, too.
I mean, he has more screen time than Emerson. Emerson is clearly smarter, clearly has a more, interesting motivation as far as what Clark did to him.
It is. It is more interesting. That said, if this was the story of the Mountain Men, I think in a way we'd be rooting on Emerson in a sick way of like, yeah, you take out the people one by one that like killed your family. Like if this is the Emerson show.
Yeah.
Whereas there is, yes, like you said, it's interesting that he has like a motivation that he's more of a fleshed out person. Yeah. But McCreary does so many shitty, like by pure volume of shittiness and its ramifications on our characters. And frankly, the ramifications of his actions into season 6. Like he's kind of the real reason Raven hates everyone so
well, and he's also
deeply.
the reason that we even get to Sanctum.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's not a positive thing. Like he blew up the earth. I'm like, someone who's that much of a terrible, evil person.
But again,
shouldn't they be on the list?
We're not ranking on morality level.
I know.
But I get what you're saying.
In terms of, again, sheer
villainous impact on the story, I mean, Emerson is much more of a mini boss.
Yeah.
I think he's a better character, but maybe I think it's really hard to compare them. I'm open to saying he's better than Emerson. I'm not open to saying he's better than Echo.
Oh, no. I'm not arguing that either. We should really change that to season 4 Echo.
Yeah,
because we have everyone else listed by season. And I feel weird saying, Echo is the villain because a lot of people are saying that about her in season 7. I'm not ready to say that right now.
All right.
If she makes it back onto the list, however, that would be interesting.
So let's talk about Vincent. I'm going to jump ahead to Vincent and we'll do Blood Rain last. Vincent, obviously, creepy serial killer man. But like, I enjoy his attachment to Abby, how he's helping her with the pills, how he calls out the hypocrisy within Kane. He kills a major character. That's a big deal. He also
basically kills him.
He does. It's because of if Vincent hadn't done what he did, Kane wouldn't be dead.
Kane wouldn't need to be in another body, which wouldn't have.
The other thing that I like about Vincent that to me matters, but I don't know if it will matter to you, is he's defeated in a cool way. Like I think
he's fried alive.
Yeah, part of being like a cool villain is that you have to face off with the hero and probably lose, right? Yeah. And that's not always going to work in this complicated gray show, right? But I like that he gets defeated. And I think I just think he's really cool. He's a crazy cannibal, and I think that fits nicely into the like themes of the season. Where do you think he fits on the list?
I think that he again, you compared him to McCreary in that they both have an evil nature. Vincent calls it like the demon within himself. Like when he comes out, you got to shock him back in. Like that's interesting, but it's also like a lack of agency. Yeah. In a way, like, yes, he's a Hannibal Lecter-esque kind of person, but he doesn't get enough dialogue. He doesn't really get enough screen time to really get into him actually being Hannibal Lecter.
Well, and they also, the whole thing of like the demon inside is like so tropic and trite. Like, right?
So I'm just like, yeah, he's cool, but he's so limited in how many episodes he's in. And yes, he takes out one person, but I don't know. I would put him worse than Emerson. Like, Emerson to me is a better villain than
I struggle with this because, I mean, to me, he's better than McCreary. You disagree?
I disagree.
All right, I'll give you this.
Again, we might shuffle things around, so I'm just gonna put him. It's a top 10, but I'll put him as 11.
Yeah. All right. So, also, people feel free to write in about all this stuff if you have different opinions and things, because
this is just the two of us shooting the shit.
Because we're also gonna be coming back here for season 7 at the end of the season. All right, and then Blood Reyna, obviously getting on the list. Where is the most interesting thing?
So we've been talking about the tail end of the list so far.
Yeah.
She's gotta
go high on the list.
She's gonna be top 5 for me.
So let's be clear about why she's a villain.
Yes.
She consistently opposes to the point of violence, like everybody.
Tries to kill Clark until...
Tries to kill Kane. Tries to kill
Maddie.
Is willing to let Indra die for her own power. Trying to a political assassination of a child with Maddie, that just fits the pure evil thing to me at that point.
Yeah.
Destroying the farm also fits pure evil in my point.
That to me was like the worst thing that she did. And on Rewatch, I was like, well, she tried to have Maddie killed, and if Maddie didn't like convince the assassin that she was the true commander, then that would be bad.
If she didn't, yeah.
But the fact that she torched Monty's farm, like, screw you, that could have created another Eden.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like, I don't know if I just didn't pick up on it the first time or if I just forgot. I knew that he made a farm and they could live in the bunker. I forgot that he was saying, I can make another Eden, basically. He's like, oh, if you give me a few years, we can make the ground better.
Yeah.
And like, that's like a real big, like, she just totally sent all these people to slaughter.
Yeah.
And took away their choice and forced them into war because of her own issues. And like, yes, what makes her a great villain is that I understand how she got there. I understand why she's doing the things she's doing. That's what makes her a great, complex villain that does not excuse what she's doing.
Exactly. It's her motivation of she had to make her actions of the bunker worth it, so to speak.
Yep.
She lost a third of her people. She killed a third of her people in a way, or made it, it was necessary. She convinced herself of her importance and her godliness in a way. So,
and so to me, the things that are really the most villainous are sending her own people to the fighting pits, the farm, and attacking Maddie. The things that are much more gray area for me is the idea of the fighting pits at all, like, evil.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, she is giving people a chance to redeem themselves, which floating didn't.
That's true.
And I don't think the cannibal thing makes her evil. I think that her scene where she's shooting people isn't evil either, because she's crying, she's trying, she doesn't want to do this, right?
She's basically begging people to stop.
Yeah.
It is the more extreme, I'm making an enemy of death, and I have to do that by killing people.
To me, I mean, that's like one of the most gray area, freaking complicated moral things on the show, I would argue.
Yeah.
But to me, that scene is really the origin of how she becomes a villain, because there was no turning back for her after that.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my biggest struggle point with this character, is that I don't necessarily love how Blood Reyna ends. I don't like that she's not really defeated. Like, she's defeated by the fact that Kane betrayed her, but we don't have anyone really, like, first of all, you have this awesome action character. No one fights her to defeat her. That bothers me personally on an action level. But also, like, she gets to such an evil point, in my opinion, with the farm, with Maddie, that I don't think she deserves redemption. And that, to me, it feels at the end of this like the writers didn't actually have the balls to make their beloved character the villain, even though they already had. I don't think that they had, or that they they think anyone can be redeemed or whatever, and I just don't.
Yeah.
Like I have liked things that came out of Octavia since then.
Mm-hmm.
So, but at the same time, the main way I like those things is by turning off my memory of what happened in season 5 to a certain degree. I'm like, she did bad things as opposed to she did evil things that shouldn't be forgiven ever. Like,
right. I think, I don't know. I don't feel so like she's beyond redemption.
Mm-hmm.
It was her redemption was a little rushed.
Yeah.
As was her in both season 6 and more pertinently in season 5 right now.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. It would have been cool if she had more of a defeat.
Mm-hmm.
But in some ways, I like how this went down.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of wish it was more intense.
Mm-hmm.
But to have everyone like turn against you in such a way,
yeah,
like it wasn't worth it. You didn't do it. You failed.
Yeah,
you failed.
Mm-hmm.
And Blood Reina is gone, and now Octavia is standing there and having to deal with that. And she's like, I don't want to be Octavia again.
Yeah.
Octavia can't handle this. Only Blood Reina can. It's like, too bad. Blood Reina has lost it all. Like, I think I like it more than you do.
Yeah, and I get where you're coming from. I just, she gets so villainous. And then
the whole thing is the things that she did that are evil, but like, it's what Kane says of like, she took away people's choice.
Yeah. I mean, she literally
over and over.
She literally is a dictator. Like, there's no qualms. There's no questions about it.
Yeah.
She became a dictator. And so that's my thing where I'm just like, it's sort of similar to the Jaha thing. I mean, like, she had more of a fallout than Jaha for sure. But like, the fact that she is just like, goes with them to Sanct, like, you know, like they don't put her in jail and chains. She's not in chains at the end of this season.
Right.
Like, you know, like
neither was Jaha.
Yeah. I don't know. But all that being said, where does she go? Should we start the bidding at Allie?
Oh, she's top 5 for me, no doubt.
Okay, so definitely better than Allie, better than Luna for sure.
Yeah, I think she pushes Luna out of the top 5.
Is she better than Dante?
So I'm looking at this now.
Yeah.
And I feel like Cage does not belong in the top 5.
You don't think he belongs in the top 5?
I don't. I think he and Luna need to switch places.
Really?
I think Luna is more of a villain than Cage is.
I struggle with that because I think that Cage kind of encompasses the Mountain Men, and the Mountain Men are the most formidable foes in the entire series, in my opinion.
Why doesn't Dante?
Because he's not really in charge for the vast majority of the season. He's not the one who's making the Cerberus program. He's not the one launching missiles at Ton DC. He's not the one, like, he's not really, like, Dante's only on the list because he did evil things to the Grounders. He didn't actually oppose Clark very much at all on this show.
Except that he wouldn't let her out. He wouldn't let her try to save her people or make contact. Like, that was him. But that was him outsmart, you know.
Not to the point of doing harm, though. He like, that's antagonistic, in my opinion, not villainous.
Okay.
Which, obviously, we're playing fast and loose with definitions a little bit here.
Yes.
But to me, Cage...
He consistently opposed Clark, though.
Not to the... It says consistently opposed to the point of threatening or doing harm to the person.
There was an unsaid threat there.
Yeah, but you can't even say that's consistent because that's only for like the first like 2 or 3 episodes.
Because she escaped.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he lied to her friends about where she went.
Yeah, but like he refuses to let them do human testing with other people volunteering.
That's true.
He consistently helps them. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He gets put in jail by his own people for what he does. Like,
I know. Yes. All right.
I think Cage really encompasses the evil part of
the Mountain
Men.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just not sure if it makes sense to push Luna out of the top 5.
I think the problem with Luna is that she's really a villain for a single episode. And so I don't know. She needs to be in the top 10. I don't know if she needs to be in the top 5.
Again, to me, it's in a way McCreary-esque in that I would let humanity die if I don't get my way. Like, that's pretty bad.
I can see the argument for Luna going above Cage, especially because I prefer the performance of Luna over Cage. But I've given you a bunch of things, so we're keeping Cage on top.
All right.
So
fine, Luna can be pushed out.
Does Blood Reina beat Pike?
That's the only question to me.
I think she does.
I think she has to.
I think she's number 1.
I think Blood Reina is the worst is
The
the
best
top
worst.
villain. Yeah, is the top villain of the show.
We'll get into season 6 in a second. We can debate that. But for
I
right
don't think
now,
we will, though.
well, we'll talk about that in a second. Blood Reina, definitely great. One thing we haven't said enough about with Blood Reina is Marie's performance in season 5.
Absolutely.
Phenomenal.
Yes.
She does not get enough acclaim.
Yeah.
She's fantastic.
So freaking good. Yeah. And again, her turn to evil, the irredeemable actor, like the no turning back point was
well, infusing every act with emotion,
Yeah.
and intelligence,
Yeah.
and violence. Like she just does such a great job.
It's
that.
great.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
So
Season 6 nominees. First, we want to say we're doing Josephine, Russell, and Shade Hedda. We're not doing the rest of the primes because they're too small of a character to make it on the list, in my opinion.
Yeah, like Simone has some evil machinations. Priya is kind of bad. Like Riker betrays people. Like, yeah.
None of them would make it on. They might make it in like the top 20 list, maybe, but
Yeah.
not the top 10.
I think there's enough characters for everyone to be on the top 20 list.
Shade Hedda doesn't make it on the list at all, in my opinion, for season 6.
So dumb.
Terrible character.
I'm going to possess this child.
Yeah. Now, one thing I think is interesting is that this is, with Russell, is the first time that I think we have to think cross-seasonally, because I think we have to include how he goes out as part of the discussion. Because his performance and character and everything in the premiere of season 7, I think, is part of what makes him fantastic.
Yeah.
The fact that he wants to die, the fact that he hates himself and is enraged and all that, like the anguish that he feels, the fact that he destroys the mind drive, like that. So Russell, to me, is really high on the list. I don't know how high on the list, but he's very high on the list. He has
top 5 high.
Yeah.
Okay.
His performance, I mean, it's complicated now because now this guy's performed 2 different villains on the show, but
and I'm sure both of them. Shade Hedda is going on the list.
Yeah, he is.
Just not season 6.
Yeah. Jeroboam does such a great job with this character, infusing vulnerability into him, the arrogance, the fact that he like is thanking Clark as he's murdering her. You know, like the fact that he's so bought into his own idea that he cares, that it's all about his family. It's all about, and that it fits so well with the themes of the show. It's about doing what you, like, anything is okay if you do it for your people kind of idea. But they've lost all sense of morality as they have created themselves as gods and begin to look down on other people as though they are. And I think that he is the one who has the most intelligence, the most intimidation, the most vulnerability. I think he's really great. So to me, I would start this at, is he better than Dante?
No.
I think so.
I disagree. I think he's better than Jaha.
I think I'd put him above Pike. But
no.
Why don't you like Russell enough?
It's not that I don't like Russell, it's that I really like Pike.
Yeah.
That's how most of this list works.
Yeah. To me, he has to be better than Dante because Dante is like barely a villain.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
I'll give it to you. You made your Dante points in the previous thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, but he's not better than Pike.
Fine. I'm willing to make that.
I might reevaluate later, but like, yeah.
So that leaves Josephine, who I obviously talked some shit about earlier, but I fucking
that incompetent little girl.
But I fucking love
old
her.
Woman? Question mark.
Ancient lady, ancient god woman.
Yeah.
I mean, I fucking love her. I think her performance, both from Eliza and from that other chick.
Her characterization is really good.
Yeah, I think that she has so much presence. She adds so much. Like, without Josephine, season 6 is like 50% worse to me. It's her character is what lights up each scene and adds something that we've never really had on the 100, which is humor from our villains. And that I like. Most of these people I don't like have fun watching, right? I mean, I'd say almost none of them. Maybe, I mean, the closest thing is now we have Shade Hedda season 7. I think Josephine's great. I think that I really like how they both make her, crazy and obviously like a fucking Nazi eugenicist, whatever. But I don't necessarily love the whole suicide guy thing in Nevermind, but I like in the
weird motivation.
Yeah. But I do like when they're throwing away the books.
Yeah.
And her connection to Gabriel and the emotions, and they manage to make the sociopathic character vulnerable.
Because she's not like she's still capable of love and care.
Yeah.
She's just also a sociopath who only cares about people in a very specific way. She's a narcissist.
She's a narcissist. Because I don't even know, maybe sociopath isn't the right word for her. But like she even more so than Russell, she's the one who the most feeds into the idea of I am a god. I am better than everybody else, while still having this humanity level. And I think what also makes her really great is that she is such a foil for Clark, and that the way they play off of each other, like they do seem like they could be friends in some weird, twisted way.
Yeah.
And the fact that she respects Clark and that she, I think that she's really great. I don't know where to put her.
I've been staring at this list and being like, I don't know. Because again, her this isn't a thing of morality, but like her incompetence versus her beliefs are like fighting it out to me.
But the thing is, like, we say she's incompetent, but like
she's still succeeded in trying to cultivate.
She's incompetent when you compare her to our people, but as far as what they did as the primes, was certainly not incompetent.
No, they still built that whole thing.
Yeah, and I mean, they literally, the other thing that I think is worthwhile is saying that the primes like literally have superpowers. They're like, they've lived for decades.
Hundreds of years.
Yeah, hundreds of years, not decades. I struggle with this one because this one is me going, am I going with which character I think is better or which one I think is my favorite? Because to me, I want to put Josephine at number 2.
Are you crazy?
No, Josephine is.
No, she's not top 5.
She's not top 5?
No, she's not top 5.
Oh, fuck that shit.
No.
No way.
No.
She's better than Jaha.
Are you? No.
100%
no,
better
she's
than
not better than season 3 Jaha.
Jaha's like not even a friggin' character in season 3.
He took away people's... He's evil.
So is she. She created an entire society to worship her.
So did all of the primes.
Yeah, so she...
No, she's too much... No,
100% better.
Not.
I will not let you put Jaha above her. I will 100% not let you put Jaha above her.
Well, she sure as shit not going in the top 3.
Fine. She's going to be number 4.
Fine.
Above Dante.
Fine. But I'm conceding a lot of points to you right now, so you better remember that.
For the top 10?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're putting Joseph. Okay, so this is the list.
She knocks Jaha out of the top 5.
You're so focused on the top 5 piece of this.
Because it's important.
All right, so I'm happy to report that season 1 Murphy is at number 10 right now.
So this has knocked off season 4 Echo.
That's fine.
I know. I'm just saying who has slid off the list.
Yep.
So these are the people who slid off the list. Echo, McCreary, Emerson, Vincent, and Atari have all not ranked in the top 10, which makes sense to me.
Yep. I mean, if I had my way, Jaha wouldn't even be on the top 10.
You're so wrong. You are. I'm like sitting here being like, how can I even breathe the same non-COVID air as you wrong person?
Would it help you if I have an idea, a paradigm shifting idea?
I don't like your ideas.
How would you feel if we combined Allie and Jaha into a single person? Because then I'd be more okay with where he is.
Okay.
So if we do that and then we move Allie out, so we just move. You get what I'm saying? So Allie just stops existing. We make it Jaha /
Allie are at number 6.
Yeah.
And then Echo gets back on the list.
Yeah.
Okay.
You cool with that?
I guess.
And then with that combo, I could see the argument for it beating Dante.
Thank you.
Okay. Does that make you feel better?
It does.
Okay.
I won't forget this day, however, Dan. I will never forget this day.
Hey, dude, friggin' Josephine's only number 4, so...
Only.
All right, so the new list is number 10, Echo Season 4. Number 9, Murphy Season 1. Number 8, Luna Season 4. Number 7, Cage. Number 6, Dante. Number 5, Jaha/Ali, season 3. Josephine at number 4. Number 3, Russell Prime. Number 2, Pike. And number 1, Blood Reyna.
Okay.
Cool. I like this list. I'm on board with this
I'm
list.
on board with this. Yep. Guys, as always, if you
are super not on board, let us
write in. Tell Dan how wrong he is, and I will be checking if anyone disagrees with me and going straight in the trash. Your emails are getting floated.
All right, so let's jump into our top 10 episodes list. We have our list up through season 4. Since we recorded that episode, we have now changed the order of some of these episodes upon further reflection. So it's the same list as before, but with different order. So we're going to read that through. Do you want to read the episodes starting at number 10, and I'll give a quick summary of what happens in each of them?
Yeah. We're going to keep it short.
Yeah.
So number 10 is 214, Bodyguard of Lies.
This is Lexa and Clark's first kiss. Also has some really great action with Bellamy destroying the fog. It's a really solid season 2 episode.
Mm-hmm. Number 9 is 408, God Complex.
God Complex is the first time it's the time where Clark injects herself with night blood.
Mm-hmm. Number 8 is 108, Day Trip.
Okay, so Day Trip is the one where they all get high on nuts and have interesting visions, and there's great humor and great bell arc as they first really connect as co-leaders and more for the first time.
Number 7, 316, Perverse Instantiation, Part 2.
This is the season 3 finale. It has some interesting stuff. There's a great action going on. Clark's in the City of Light. We have Lexa coming back for her sort of final farewell. And then we have the reveal of the bombs the fact that the nuclear things are melting down and the world's going to end.
Number 6, 301, Wanheda.
This is the season 3 premiere. It really gives new energy to the show, which is what I really love about it. I think it's a really fun episode. We get the big Rover musical scene. We have Clark versus the Panther, Clark and Nyla.
Yeah.
Introduction of Roan a little bit. We have some nice Raven moments. I think it's a solid episode.
I agree. Number 5 is 407, Gimme Shelter.
This is the Black Rain episode, probably most well known for having Bellamy in the Rover being sad.
Talking to Kane, also being sad. Number 4 is 308, Terms and Conditions.
This is an episode that is all about stuff at Arcadia with Pike versus Kane, and it's a really great use of the ensemble and sort of like espionage, and it's just a really good philosophical episode, I think, political episode.
Yeah. Number 3 is 410, Die All, Die Merrily.
This is the Conclave.
Number 2 is 311, Nevermore.
This is Raven with Allie in her head, tied up to the bed, trying to pit everybody against each other. Some quality stuff, and Monty kills his mom.
Ugh, so sad episode. Number 1 is 216, Blood Must Have Blood, Part 2.
The season 2 finale. They destroy Mount Weather, knocking on heaven's door.
Yeah. Okay.
We have lots of nominees.
We do.
So let's see. Starting with 502, Red Queen. This is the big What Happened at the Bunker episode. Well, I guess there's more than one of those. But this is where Jaha dies. He passes on his leadership ideas to Octavia. Enemy of your one crew or the enemy of one crew. Choose. You
sounded like Bane for a second there.
Really, really solid episode. I think it's been phenomenal performance from Marie. Really great development for Octavia. She steps into her leadership role. Good action sequences, cinematography. We have Kara taking over the plant stuff. All this stuff, I think, really solid episode.
Jaha's death and his sad goodbye. Yeah. It's a good episode, Dan.
Oh, yeah. So we want to do that one at a time? Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. All right. So Red Queen, where do you want to start the bidding? It's better than Wanheda.
Is it better than Terms and Conditions? It's not better than the Conclave episode.
Yeah, I'll put it right above the right below the Conclave.
Yeah, so better than Terms and Conditions.
Better than Terms and Conditions.
All right, I'm down for that.
Yep.
Okay. Short and sweet, this discussion, I guess, so far.
So Bodyguard of Lies is off the table.
Sorry, guys.
Next up is another big Octavia episode, the one where she burns down the farm. 510, The Warrior's Will. This is where she puts Bellamy, Indra, and Gaia in the fighting pit. And we have some really great Indra and Octavia scenes, some really great Bellamy and Octavia scenes. Meanwhile, we have Abby dealing with her drug addiction and stuff with Vince in there. Whole lot of really good stuff. We have Maddie with her vision of Becca burning at the stake, which obviously is great for world building.
It's not super high for me.
Oh, interesting.
I really like it, but I kind of feel like it's in the new number 9 slot. Like, it's better than Day Trip.
You're not going to agree with my opinion on this.
Are you going to put it in the top 5?
I think it's better than Red Queen.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Like, to me, her dealing, like, her breakdown in this is more interesting than her becoming that, because she doesn't even really become Blood Reina in that episode. She becomes a leader.
So in that case, did we put Red Queen too high?
Maybe we did.
I think Red Queen then is better than One Heda, but not better than Gimme Shelter. And then this episode can go into Red Queen's slot.
Okay.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Now, the next one we have is 511, The Dark Year, which is, of course, where the cannibalism is the flashbacky stuff. And she shoots people for not eating.
So my kind of problem here is that I love that part of the episode, but the rest of the episode isn't as great.
I don't think it makes it on the top 10.
Yeah, there's nothing that I'd like to remove. And also having 3 season 5 episodes.
All about Octavia.
I mean, she was the highlight of this season, but...
Yeah, I think that we don't need The Dark Year. Aside from the scene at the dining table, I don't think there's anything particularly fantastic.
Yeah. I think, in a way, it's covered without that reveal.
Yep.
By other stuff.
Yep.
The farm burning is enough of that.
Yeah. 602, Red Sun Rising.
Okay, so this is the Red Sun Toxin Hysteria episode. People are having visions. They're turning on each other.
Phenomenal performances by a number of people here. Some interesting, we're seeing these Sanctum sets kind of for the first-ish time. Great cinematography. We have really, again, amazing Octavia scenes here as she's following the pieces, now knowing the Blood Reina is gone, and basically she wants people to kill her. She wants to die again. Really great performance there. And also we have some awesome action stuff as Maddie, Dioza, and Raven team up.
I love that. I love that sequence. Also, we have the cold open to the origin of the Primes.
Yeah, seeing young Josie and all that stuff.
Original Josie.
OG.
And Russell going cuckoo.
Oh, this is a hard one. Where do we want this? I think it's better than One Heda.
I think you're right.
Is it better than Red Queen?
No, Dan, it's not.
Not better than Red Queen?
I don't think so.
Okay. I think I might like it better than Red Queen,
I do too.
I think Red Queen's probably a better episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was some cool stuff going on in 602, but in terms of emotional impact and impact overall, I think Red Queen has more.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Okay.
604, The Face Behind the Glass. I want to say about behind the curtain. This is Delilah's naming day. Clark's in a pretty blue dress. She bones down and then gets boned as she's murdered and becomes Josephine. What else happens? Oh, Octavia and Dioza team up for the first time. That's good.
Yeah, it is.
And then there's Becco stuff, which is not great.
Dan.
Yeah.
I don't know if this episode should be in the top 10.
Do you not think it's better than Day Trip?
No. Also, Day Trip is off the list.
Oh, it's off the list now. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Man, not a single season 1 episode is left.
Yeah.
I think we saw this coming.
Yeah, kind of. All right.
I can't. I don't see it. I don't see it.
All right.
I like it, but in terms of
yeah, to me the thing is
greatness.
that episode 2 through 4 together of season 6 is awesome.
Yeah.
But they kind of, it's sort of the reason there's not that much season 2 on this list. because season 2 is just consistently good.
Yeah.
It's not like these big standout moments.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, is like, as much as we have these nice season 5 episodes on here, most of season 5 is just like so bleh.
Yeah.
You know,
again, it just kind of, when we were rewatching it, I was like, I didn't realize what happened in which episode. Like, I had all these memories of moments. I could not have named where they belonged.
Yep. Okay, 607, Nevermind. This is the big mind space episode. Now, this is going to be a complicated one because, for one thing, I know we feel a little bit more negative about it than the average fan, who I think loves this episode.
I still really like this episode,
Yeah.
and despite the kind of iffiness as we discussed about what it means for Clark's arc,
Yeah.
I still think it is powerful. I
Yeah.
still think people can relate to it,
Yeah.
and it's still meaningful.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I love their standoff. I love the stuff brought from the past. And
I think my issue with it is that it's so good, but it could have been like absolutely amazing.
It could have been number one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think for us it is number one. I think for a lot of people probably is, but I think, I agree that all the history, the references, the set design, the use of the different costuming from different points in her life, the, her playing off of Josie, as we talked about, absolutely love their interplay. We did get some backstory about what was going on pre-bombs and things like that, which was exciting. We saw old people come back, like Monty and her dad and things like that. And I think that, and it really showed the intelligence of Clark, and definitely makes you learn more about her as a person. I really love the focus on her. So where do you want to put this?
I don't think it's better than Die All Die Merrily, which Conclave. It might be better than Warriors Will, though.
It might be better than Die All Die Merrily. I don't know, though. It has such a solid,
so
great moment for Octavia at the end of that.
Yeah. But Nevermind is so focused.
Yeah.
And it's about Clark.
Yeah. I also...
For all its flaws, again...
Is Nevermore too high on this list? I have to... I feel like I need to rewatch Nevermore. Yeah, that's the one with Raven.
Yeah. I'm thinking it might be. The more I look at this, the more I'm like...
I think that Nevermind should... So the Mind Space episode, because Nevermore and Nevermind are now getting... Mind Space episode, I think, should go after Warriors Will.
After meaning better than?
No, worse than. I think Warriors Will is more... I get a lot more out of Octavia's journey in Warriors Will than I do out of
Clark's journey.
And but I can see the argument either way. Yeah.
This is hard. This is
if
really
you
hard.
Want Nevermind above Warriors Will, I can understand that.
I think it should be.
Okay. All right. I'm on board with that.
Okay.
Yep.
I have to say, with Nevermore and Nevermind being in the top in the top 5,
yep.
Also Red Queen and Red Sun Rising are right next to each other too right now. So
yep. So, man, that makes me really want to rewatch Nevermore, because I'm like, is it really number 2?
Is it really the second best episode of the show?
I mean, it's really good.
It is really good.
Yeah. I don't know.
Is it really that good?
I might rewatch it before we do our season 7 wrap up.
That might make sense.
Yeah. All right, and so that leaves us with, what was our last nominee here?
Our last nominee is 609, What You Take With You. So this is Octavia's toxin visions. Standoff with Pike and Blood Reyna and the pit. What else happens?
It's also, Cogs are capturing Bellamy and Clark, or Bellamy and Josephine. There's some back and forth there.
There's the back and forth between them two.
Also, Kane dies, which I don't love.
That's not a great part of the episode.
No. So what's at number 10 right now?
Currently, we have Wanheda.
It's not better than Wanheda. Well, I mean, there's an argument that it's better than Wanheda.
Wanheda's... I don't know if I have any season 7 nominees right now. I do, actually. I was thinking because...
I don't have any season 7 nominees right now, just so people are aware.
Interesting. Well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
My point is that I wouldn't sacrifice Wanheda sliding off the list for What You Take With You.
I mean, I think that the question is, are we saying this is our top 10, or are we saying this is what we think are the 10 best episodes? because for me, Wanheda has to be on my personal top 10 list. I don't know that it necessarily is one of the 10 best episodes of the show, but I also can kind of make that argument.
I can too. I can kind of make that argument.
Yeah.
So,
because I think that it's important to have episodes like this that have a lighter feel and let us live with the characters.
And 108
and that's
is gone.
Yeah, and that's what I want from the show more. That's what I feel like the show is missing so often, which is just letting the characters interact and live. And
should Day Trip be back on this list?
What would you get rid of for it?
I don't know. Wanheda?
No.
Okay.
I don't know why I'm suddenly like, why is Red Queen on this list? No, it's
What?
good. Red Queen's good. I'm being silly.
You are being silly.
Yeah,
We'll look at this with fresh eyes
yeah.
before season 7.
I think our list is good as is for right now.
Yeah, I don't want to sacrifice anything for what you take with
All
you.
right, why don't you read them out? You don't have to. We don't have to say
we
what
won't
happens
do the
in each
descriptions,
episode,
but here's what it stands as. Number 10, 301 Wanheda. Number 9, 602 Red Sun Rising. Number 8, 502 Red Queen. Number 7, 407 Gimme Shelter. Number 6, 308 Terms and Conditions. Number 5, 510 The Warrior's Will. Number 4, 607 Nevermind. Number 3, 410 Die All, Die Merrily. Number 2, 311 Nevermore. Number 1, 216 Blood Must Have Blood, Part 2.
Yeah.
I'm happy with this list right now.
Yeah, we're missing season 1, but otherwise we have a pretty good spread here.
R.I.P. Day Trip.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm like, there are other episodes that got pushed off this list. But I'm just like, I love you, Day Trip. Goodbye.
It is
because it was the only season 1 episode.
Yeah,
it's the best season 1 had to offer.
I mean, what would you kick? I can't kick off Wanheda.
I can't either on second.
And it's not better than Red Sunrise.
It isn't. It's not better than anything else. It's just sad.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so I'd love to know, especially your season 7 nominees and things like that. You can contact us in a myriad of ways. You can either email us at the100pod@gmail.com. You can go to our website, the100podcast.com, and leave us a little contact us form there. Or you can tweet at us at the100podcast. Also, you can go on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/DoingOK. That's DoingOK. And leave us comments down below. Thank you, everybody, and may meet again.
May we meet again.